So this is going to be good.
Talk about furries. Yesterday I heard that at least one of our schools in our town has in one of the unisex bathrooms, a litter box for the kids that identify as cats. I will do some more investigation on that. I know it's going on nationwide. I know it is. It's part of the agenda that's being pushed. I don't even want to understand it, but I think that people need to be aware of it.
Okay, listen. I don't like IQ discourse. I don't. I think that for the most part, it's incredibly right wing. It is used to the IQ in and of itself doesn't measure intelligence. It's systemically biased. It's culturally rooted. You know, you can practice it. So for the purposes of being a number that explains anything, really, it's not good. It's not very useful. In fact, it's probably on net harmful because there's so many misconceptions and lies about IQ. That being said, this has no IQ. She's dumb. She's dumb as she may be the dumbest I've ever seen. Anybody who believes that schools are setting out litter boxes should be immediately removed from any position of power or authority and put into a permanent institution. Yeah, carcerally. Her IQ is so low, a Republican would marry it. Yeah. You know, this lady's kids told her they were doing that because he thought it was funny and she believed it. Even if it was real, why does it matter? For conservatives, they have a genital or anal fixation where everything has to be its subject of bodily functions or genitals, and they're hyper fixated on it. And I'll explain it to you. Here's an example. Whenever you talk about, okay, what the fuck did I do to my lighting? Whenever you talk about something like for example, I'll give you an example. When you talk about, say, homosexuality or, you know, gender identity, for normal people like you or me, because you're watching this stream, that makes you normal. We focus on like the identity part, which is how the person wants to express themselves, right? You know, dysphoria, the mental discomfort or distress somebody is feeling because their perceived identity differs from or their identified or assigned gender differs from what they internally feel is consistent with their own self-conception, right? So we think about that struggle that they go through, right? And we support trans rights because we think people should be able to identify and express themselves as they see fit because they have full bodily autonomy and they have that right of control over their presentation. And from a consequentialist perspective, when trans people can identify with the gender that more aligns with what they perceive it to be, they subjectively experience, they have better outcomes in the world, you know, lower rates of distress, self-harm, etc. So let people identify as the gender they identify with because it's good for them and it's good for society, and we believe fundamentally in their own right to identify in the way that they see fit, right? Conservatives think of genitals, whether you have a penis or a vagina, or whether you have boobs, or whether they did a surgery or not. They get hyper fixated on reducing you back to reducing a trans person back to their body parts. When a conservative thinks about somebody who is gay, they typically reduce it down to gay men, and it's gay men having butt sex. That's how conservatives operate. That's how they approach these questions. It's absolutely fucking batshit. And so, of course, if somebody says furries exist, a conservative is going to hyper-focus on bodily functions, and they're going to believe and invent stories about litter boxes in schools. Are you saying generals or genitals? I think I say it pretty clear, don't I? Don't I say genitals pretty clear? Anyway, this. So of course they're going to believe this dumbass shit. Of course.
Because I am really upset as a parent that my child is put in an environment like that.
Yeah, well, the school board outright denied such a thing ever existed. The superintendent wrote, quote, "Let me be clear in this communication. There is no truth whatsoever to this false statement/accusation. There have never been litter boxes within MPS schools."
You have an obligation to like, comment, and subscribe.